Hello. In this video, we'll pick up right where we left off in the last video using the wand tool, and we're going to jump into blend modes. So blend modes are a really easy and exciting way to create dynamic images that really catch the viewer's eye. So let's look at what they are. And basically what a blend mode is it changes how your layers interact with each other. So I'm going to pull in another layer. I've already searched for forest. It's a large image size. I've got my image selected. I'll copy it and bring it into PIXLR where I'll paste it. And the way that layers generally interact with each other is if one layer is on top of another layer, you can't see the other layer. So for example, the forest layer is on top and it's blocking out the deer layer except this little area down here where the forest layer ends. So firstly, I'm going to enlarge the forest layer, and I've been through that in another video, but you just select your move tool, click on the image, and pull the edges out. And I'm going to move my deer layer on top, so I'm just dragging that deer layer and moving it on top of the forest layer. And again, the way the layers interact, the deer layer is on top. You can't see through the deer layer. Everything that's behind it is blocked out by the deer. To access blend modes, you click on the little menu next to your layers. So let's check it out. I'm going to click on here, and here's my drop-down menu titled Blend Modes. I'll click there, and you can see there's lots of options, about 15 or so. And some of the most commonly used ones are going to be multiply, overlay, soft light. But absolutely, you can try all of these and see what they do. Let's try multiply. So I've clicked on multiply, and you can now see that the way the deer interacts with the layer below it is different. It's not just blocking it out. The pixels are actually interacting with each other. And it's also different than just dropping the opacity or the transparency, which we've been through in a previous tutorial. Let's check out another one. We'll check out overlay. And you can see that overlay really changes the way that those layers interact. You can still see the shape of the deer. It's kind of darkened the areas of the tree where the deer is. And we'll check out a couple more here. Hard light, soft light. And these will always be different depending on which two layers, which two images are interacting with each other. The way that the colors are, the tones all affect how the layers interact with each other. And it can really make interesting effects when you have lots of textures in your image. So this deer image is a very simple one. And so it's going to be a pretty simple interaction. Let's pull up another image and see what it does, and we'll find one this time with lots of texture in it. How about we look for grass? And again, I'm in Google Image Search. My tools are set to large. My image size is set to large. And I'm gonna go with this image right here. This looks interesting, some grass. I'll copy that. And I'm gonna paste it. Oops. Wrong button. I accidentally hit F instead of V. Okay, I'm gonna paste that there. Just gonna size this up to about that size. And I'm gonna drop it down below the deer. So you can see the deer is still set to the blend mode that we set it to, multiply. Let's try setting the blend mode of the grass to something else. And you can see as I change it, it's changing the way it's interacting with that forest layer. And this is these are great settings to play around with and see what they do to your image. You can move the way the layers are stacked. So you can move the grass above the deer or below the deer, but you can see that the texture of the grass is kind of being set into the forest. Exclusion does really interesting things to the colors. Color, well, in this case, there's lots of green, so it won't change very much. And you can see these all do different things to the image and the way that the layers interact with each other. And moving them around can create really interesting effects. And we could also crop the image down, so we're just seeing this part of it, which I think would be a little more interesting because we don't need all that side stuff going on. Oops. So gone ahead and cropped the image down. And you can see that the way that the layers interact with each other really creates some cool effects there. Blend mode, you can do really interesting things with it. I encourage you to play around with it, see what the different blend modes do. I'm not going to go through every single one and talk about what they do, but you can kind of learn what they do as you try them out. There's lots of different ones. And again, to access them, you click on the little menu to the left, on the left side of your layer, and select the blend mode that you want to use for that layer. And if you want to set it to no blend mode, which is the standard way that layers interact with each other, just click on none at the top. In our next video, we'll look briefly at what the mask blend mode does and how to use that effectively in Pixlr. It's a little tricky in this version because some of the settings are limited, but we'll check it out and see how we can be creative and use that setting to our benefit. I'll see you in that next video.